Hi, and welcome to Pencil with Poppy. This is my first instructional video. I'm excited to get started with this. I've got my videographer Nicole, my daughter, who's here helping me today, so I'm really excited to get going. Today we're going to discuss lines. We are going to be using just a regular old pencil. A number 2 or softer is fine. I like to use pencil. If you can draw with pencil, you can draw with anything. So that's what we're going to use. And then we're also going to draw on just regular Xerox paper. It's important that you stack up that Xerox paper to have 20 or more pieces there, because that smoothness is important. So we're going to start by just talking about how you hold the pencil. A lot of people struggle by they hold the pencil way too far down near the point. The key to a really good drawing and a little bit more confidence comes from extending that pencil down, say 1.5 inches or 2 inches from the sharpen point back to your hand, so that you get a little bit different control out of it. Another thing that you need to concentrate on is not drawing with your hand or your wrist, but drawing with your arm. And the secret to that is to lock your hands and lock your wrist so that you can just draw with your arm. Now, the first thing we want to do before we start any drawing is obviously sharpen the pencil. And then from sharpening, we want to create what's known as a chiseled point. And in order to do that, the point right now is very sharp, and if I were to start drawing now, I would be creating gouging lines. What I'd really like to have is a soft line. So what I'm going to do is chisel the point just by stroking the edge of the lead down at an angle, but keeping the pencil in the same place. I don't know if you can see it or not, but that creates a nice little simple 45-degree angle chisel point on your pencil. I mentioned that there are a lot of different kinds of lines. What we're going to talk about today is an architectural line. And there are free-form lines, there are circular lines, there are natural lines like what you would see in nature, like leaves and those kinds of things. But we're going to talk about architectural lines, which your ability to draw straight lines is really important in just about everything that you do, because if you can draw a straight line, that's the heart of every drawing. So I'm going to start by just teaching you the real simple line, and it starts with what's known as a fuzzy line. And because we chiseled this point, we should be able to get a fuzzy line. Every line needs to have a prominent beginning and a prominent end, and then this middle section that you see where it gets lighter, that's your fuzzy line. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but I'm doing something called hit, go, hit, which is a wiggle, relax the pressure, and a wiggle at the end. And if you can just sit and practice this and put them very close together, it's a great way to learn. And I don't know if you can tell or not, but I'm pushing this away from me. You can also pull it towards you, and a really proficient person can go either direction and be just as proficient. I would suggest that you start by getting comfortable with one direction, either pushing away or pulling toward. And then if you have a line that's too long for you, you can always stop it, create a gap, and go again. That's called a professional gap. And then you want to get in the habit architecturally to end your lines with a dot. It's called a professional dot. It's sort of like the exclamation point at the end of a drawing. So we've got a fuzzy line using hit, go, hit, creating professional gaps, professional dots at the end of our lines. That's the kind of thing that you need to work on over and over and over. If you were to develop a series of lines like this, just sitting around the house, have a pad of paper sitting next to your computer. If you get bored, just sit down and start banging out lines. Start real shallow. You know, if you can only do them, you know, a half inch, quarter of an inch, whatever, then expand them out until you can get a fair amount of distance out of them. That stroke will create a confidence in what you're drawing. Now, from here, I also want to teach you a little bit about gradual value change. So I'm going to slide this over, and let's say that we have a little box that we want to shade in. The other thing that is important is to cross all the corners on all the architectural drawings that you do. So if you have two corners, turn your paper and cross it. But for any shading that we do, we use what's known as a 45-degree stroke. So here's 90, 45 is that way, so we're just going to carry it down in that 45-degree direction. There's a lot of things that you need to remember about it. Gradual value change means starting darker and getting lighter as you go down through the stroke. One real critical issue is to always overlap the line that you're trying to shade. I don't know if you can see that, but try not to leave gaps. Always go all the way over what you're trying to shade in. The next time we get together, I'm going to spend a little bit of time drawing a cube for you and teaching you how to do it. But I just wanted to finish with just a real simple cube for you to watch and learn. Notice I'm doing the hit-go-hit and the overlap corners. And we'll get into how you shade and shadow. But here's your gradual value change. And here's your darker shadow and shading. I'm going to put it out on a table. And that'll be the end of the session. Next time we'll get together and we'll talk about how we do this. Just like always, can't wait to see you next time. Until then, learn it, master it, and share it. Thanks.